I travel to Edinburgh, a city in Scotland, with my family. Scotland is part of the United Kingdom, but it has its own history, traditions, and strong cultural identity. Before the trip, I explain this to my children so they understand where we are going. I tell them, Scotland is famous for castles, kilts, bagpipes, and old legends. My daughter smiles and says, "So it's like a storybook country." My husband nods and says, "That's actually very accurate." When we arrive in Edinburgh, the air feels cool and fresh. It smells like stone, grass, and rain. I immediately feel that this city is calm but powerful. At the airport, the officer looks at our passports, and then at our children. He says, "Welcome to Scotland. Is this your first time?" I answer, "Yes, we're traveling as a family." He smiles and replies, "You chose a wonderful city for children. That makes me feel confident about our trip." On the way to the hotel, I look out the window at the stone buildings. Everything looks old and strong. My son says, "Mom, it feels like we're inside a movie." I answer, "That's because Edinburgh has been standing here for hundreds of years." My husband adds, "History isn't hidden here. It's everywhere." After checking in, we walk toward the Royal Mile, the famous street connecting Edinburgh Castle and Holyrood Palace. Street performers are playing music, and people walk slowly, enjoying the atmosphere. Suddenly, my daughter stops. She hears a deep, strong sound. She asks, "What is that noise?" I smile and say, "That's a bagpipe." Bagpipes. Explanation: traditional instrument. We walk closer to a man playing the bagpipes. I explain to the kids that the bagpipe is a traditional Scottish musical instrument. I tell them, the bag is filled with air, and when the player squeezes it, the sound comes out. My son watches carefully and says, "It sounds loud but kind of sad." I nod and say, "Yes, bagpipes are often used for celebrations, parades, and even funerals. They express strong emotions." The musician notices us watching and says, "First time hearing bagpipes up close?" I answer, "Yes, especially for the kids." He smiles and adds, "Bagpipes were used long ago to lead soldiers and bring communities together." That makes the music feel even more meaningful. For lunch, we stop at a traditional Scottish restaurant. The waiter greets us and asks, "Would you like to try some local food today?" I say, "Yes, and we're with children. What do you recommend?" He carefully explains haggis, neeps, and tatties. My son whispers, "What exactly is haggis?" I gently explain that it is a traditional dish made long ago when people used all available food. The waiter smiles and says, "You can just try a small bite." When the kids taste it, my daughter says, "It's not scary, it's just different." We all laugh. The next morning, we visit Edinburgh Castle. It stands high on a hill, watching over the city. I tell the kids, "This castle protected Scotland for centuries." My son asks, "Were there real battles here?" I answer, "Yes, many." Inside, a guide explains the history slowly. She asks the kids, "Who likes stories about kings and queens?" Both kids raise their hands immediately. Traditional Scottish clothing, kilts and tartan. After the castle, we explore shops along the Royal Mile. We see colorful scarves, blankets, and clothes with patterns. I explain, "These patterns are called tartan. Each pattern represents a family or region." A shop owner welcomes us and says, "Would you like to learn about kilts?" She shows us kilts, which are traditional Scottish skirts worn by men. She explains that kilts were worn during battles, weddings, and celebrations. My daughter asks, "Do people still wear these today?" The woman answers, "Yes, especially for special occasions." The kids try on small kilts. My son laughs and says, "It feels strange but cool." My husband takes photos while smiling proudly. I explain to the kids, Traditional clothes show who you are and where you come from. In the afternoon, we visit a cultural center where children can try traditional Scottish games. They learn simple strength and balance games. An instructor explains, Scottish children played these games long before video games existed. My son tries hard and says, "This is actually difficult." My daughter cheers for him loudly. Later, we walk up Arthur's Seat, a hill formed by an ancient volcano. I explain this while we walk slowly. At the top, the view is breathtaking. My daughter says quietly, "I feel like I'm standing in history." For dinner, we eat at a cozy pub. The waiter asks the kids, "Are you hungry explorers?" My son answers confidently, "Yes, very hungry." We eat fish and chips and warm soup. The atmosphere feels friendly and safe. A local man nearby asks where we are from. When we tell him, he says, "Edinburgh is a good place for families. You'll remember it." On our last day, we visit a small museum about Scottish life. The kids see old clothes, toys, and tools. A staff member explains, "Children helped their families a lot in the past." My daughter says, "They worked hard, but they still played." I nod and say, "Every culture finds ways to create joy." Before leaving, we walk the Royal Mile one last time. We hear bagpipes again, see kilts in shop windows, and recognize familiar streets. My son asks, "Can we come back someday?" My husband looks at me and smiles. I answer, "Yes, I think Scotland will always be waiting for us." As we head to the airport, I hold my children's hands. This trip gave them history, culture, and curiosity, and for a family journey, that feels perfect.